When did you become the very thing you swore to destroy? Drank a crap ton of milk when I was a kid because I believed lactose intolerant people were wimps. Lo and behold, I'll crap my pants if I have a glass of milk nowadays. There is lactose free milk, yo. That's all that we buy in this house. 3 kids, wife and me, all lactose intolerant. When I got put in charge of people at work, I said I was gonna be a cool boss. And then I realized that there's a lot more to it, and OMFG these idiots are freaking up and I have to answer for it. This hits home. Working from the bottom, you make good friends and you all swear you won't be that dickhead who is the boss. Then you get promoted and become that dickhead. The way I see it is to take the knowledge you got from your boss and don't do the dumb stuff you hated, but all in all you just gotta be the boss, not a Michael Scott. I make video games and 95% of my career have been on consoles. Had to help out a team at work a few years back with a mobile game and they made me add in the bit where the pop-up comes up asking you to rate the game. I died a lot inside then. Much better than those dickheads adding ads with no close signs. I hope they get an ad too. Won the 8th grade poetry slam by writing a poem about my anger towards my grandfather for drinking and smoking himself to death. By my 22nd birthday I was putting down 2 packs of cigarettes and a pint every day. Now I'm 3 months sober and clean from cigs though. Congratulations on the milestone. Good luck keeping it up, though luck may or may not have much to do with it. My parents always told me the cartoons I watch were pretty ridiculous, like SpongeBob, Invader Zim, Pokemon and Ren and Stimpy. I was gonna be the cool adult and let kids watch all the hip cartoons just like I did. Fast forward a few years and I'm seeing my little cousins watch stuff like Teen Titans Go, Powerpuff Girls, Reboot, and Loud House 24/7, and I wanna rip my hair out every time I see those. A few years ago I would say yo ironically to make fun of people who said yo. Now I start almost every conversation with yo dude. How long will it take people to learn this unbreakable law of the universe? Irony will always develop into sincerity, given enough time. 2 years ago, I put down new grass in the small part of the front yard that I own. I sat down, picked up a book and read a bit in the garden. When I looked up, my nephew from next door was rolling across my freshly laid down patch of grass. I told him to get off my lawn. I was 26. Age happens faster than you think. I'm a new house owner. I've just recently been finding poop in my yard from a dog I don't own. It's really peed me off. In the late 80s, early 90s, I was a typical skater punk metalhead teen. I swore up and down I would never settle down. I didn't want some 9-5 life with a house and family. I am happily married, have a great career, and love every second of it. There are times when I sort of wonder what my life would have been if I just kept doing what I was doing. But I'm pretty sure I would be miserable. Screwing around and partying is fun when you are 17-23, but in my 40s, frick that, I'm tired. I partied a lot my freshman year. Now, 10 years later, I can have a couple of beers and have a good time, but any more than that and I'll be paying for it for days. I always said I hated people who were just content in their jobs and didn't want to rise up. I love the work I do, and I want to get to the highest skill set of it, but frankly I'm not sure if I am interested in a real promotion at this point in my life. I tried to quit smoking using Chantix in 2008-2009. It didn't work because the nightmares were so graphic and scary. I had to before I stopped taking it. I don't remember the first one, but the second one, I killed a guy by removing his limbs very slowly. It really grossed me out. Didn't realize I was capable of that sort of barbarity even in some unlocked portion of my mind. Now I do autopsies for a living. It's weird that elements of my absolute worst nightmare is part of my day to day. Had a cop ask me to remove a guy's hands a couple weeks ago and it's literally not even crossed my mind a second time until just now. That's when I realized my passion for dismembering bodies. My dad liked to do awful impressions of Disney characters that he spent way too much time teaching himself. He told me that as a kid, he was often lonely and did this as a way to make himself laugh. I yelled at him when he did it. A decade after his death, I realized that I'm constantly doing awful impressions of characters from games and cartoons I liked as a kid. You should hear my impression of Strong Bad. No, you really shouldn't. Your dad's ghost is watching you and thinking heck yeah. Comedy answer, Reddit account. Serious answer, my company's director forced me to accept a promotion to management. I can seriously relate to the comedy answer. I always said I'd never be a pet person, but we're fostering a cat while its owner is in hospital and now it's 1 AM and I'm on the sofa with Buddy cuddling up to me and yeah, it's kinda cool. When you have something cuddling against you, it just releases something in your brain that's just like, I really like this. My parents are African and they always made the food so freaking spicy when I was a kid. Now, I'm like, this meal needs more cayenne and scotch bonnets. Bruh, same. I'm like a HWHITE white dude. Was never big on spice. Started dating my Asian girlfriend about 5 years ago and now I will legit eat anything that looks like it's going to burn my face off. Just like most other people, I thought I'd always be super laid back, always up for anything and super energetic, 4 hours off to 4 hours of sleep. When I was a senior in high school, I worked a bunch of overtime on top of school and still went out with my friends. Now I work less hours, rarely have the energy to see my friends, and most of the time I feel like a grumpy old introvert. Early 20s, I never wanted to become an alcoholic. I am now 31 and I will have a year alcohol free this week. Also trying to quit smoking. That's amazing, good luck, you got this. 3. My entire life while growing up, all I wanted to do was be a police officer. Received my bachelor's in political science and minored in legal studies and criminal justice. Received my master's in criminal justice. Scored top 5 in physical and written exams at every agency I applied. No criminal history and no previous drug use. I was denied by every single agency. Entered law school. Applied for an internship at the DA's office while in law school. Was denied. Passed the bar and applied at the district attorney's office as a criminal prosecutor. Denied even though I had criminal law experience and my courses emphasized criminal law. Now I am a criminal defense attorney. If you can't join M, beat M. My mother had been and still is violently abusive. I am now extremely quick to anger and get really loud and aggressive about it. I'm in therapy still trying to break the cycle. That's great to hear. I hope you do. You got this. I used to hate grumpy old guys. Now, I don't even have kids and I've found my mother coming out of my mouth to my nieces and nephews. It's appalling. I played EVE Online from 2005 to 2010. I started out with a group that was strictly anti-pirate. We'd go to systems with pirate problems and try to help the locals. We eventually got entangled in a series of wars with a particular pirate corporation and over time I developed a friendship with their CEO. It led to me and him going on pirate roams together, murdering defenseless caribous for their stuff. I enjoyed it so much I turned my whole corp pirate. I used to make jokes about edgy people, but now I'm always sad and anxious and I try to make light of it through depression jokes. Now my friends make edgy jokes about me : Hi, I noticed that everyone else either made jokes or gave you probably obvious or annoyingly useless advice. So I'm here to say, that sounds rough, and I hope things get better for you. I'm pretty depressed myself. I used to hate poached eggs and eggs Benedict. Boy, was I an idiot. I vehemently insisted that leggings weren't pants and should only be worn with dresses or skirts. 10 years, 1 baby, and 1 pandemic later, sure, they're pants. They're practically formal wear at this point. This made me realize that the leggings as pants thing has been around for a decade. 5 years ago I swore before my sister I would never drink a drop of alcohol ever because of my father. Now I can't go a week without getting drunk at least once. And I hate it extremely. I've seen people on here swear by our stop drinking. Addiction isn't a pushover. You can do this. I used to hate the concept of anime, even though I didn't realize Pokemon was one. Now I read manga like nobody's business and spend my Sunday evenings doing nothing but watching the newest seasonal episodes. I used to find it weird that people getting depressed over not having BFGF and desperately looking for one. 5-6 months ago my relationship of 2.5 years ended and I am all alone. I feel kinda lonely and down. I feel like I need a romantic relationship, but there is COVID, so I hardly see people. I am not yet desperately looking for a relationship, but I am heading that way. I play a boffer sport that's a LARP on paper, but in reality offers very little roleplay. I have never liked RP and LARPs and prefer to swing stick and hang out with my real friends, not their edgy personas. Well, recently I became a leader of a small LARPing group. About 15 amped good players look to me for leadership. A couple of them mentioned that they really like roleplay, a couple more agreed that it would be fun to try it, and all these shiny new players got super excited to make characters and run through scenarios. And anyway, now I write micro quests, complete with NPCs and fake gold, for them to play through a couple times a month. Oh man, my cousin and her fiance are really into that boffer stuff. When I was a teenager I went to play with them once. The group was all guys, aside from my cousin. My uncle, not her father, who ran the group, suggested the guys would have another princess to rescue. I hit him with my sword and said not freaking likely. He laughed and hit me back. Good times. I used to forgive people when they wronged me, but I met a person who was likely a sociopath and they gave me enough insight to know that people will infinitely take advantage of forgiveness. So now I tend to just shoot people down, within reason of course. I think a lot of people conflate forgiveness and trust. Forgiveness is given, trust is earned. You can forgive someone without trusting them. You can also forgive someone while cutting them out of your life. It's all about personal boundaries. At my night job, we have a worker who has a bit of a panhandling issue, always setting out a tip jar and giving sob stories in order to get more tips. Keep in mind, this job is not what you would reasonably call a job where we depend on tips. We are paid properly by our employers. Usually the first thing I would do when relieving her shift is put away the tip jar, cause I'm not about to try to separate my regulars from even more of their money. But I got tired of seeing her walk out with a wad of cash that assuredly puts her at a much higher take home than me, having over 4 years seniority on her and, well, I do the brunt of the labor for the whole place. So what do? I retreated from my high road like a bee and started leaving the tip jar out, putting my own first dollar in there to fish for more every night. It's been working. No sob story from me about it, though. Hey, if it works, it works. TBH, I'm not much of a tipping person. It isn't much of a thing where I'm from. But I do understand the fact that sometimes you need to go the extra step to bring home something extra. Appreciate you not choosing the sob story route. Good luck and I hope things get better for both of you. I remember watching a medical show with my mom when I was 9 or 10 and the patient had self-harm scars and had attempted suicide. I told her I didn't understand why people were like that and why they would ever think that would solve anything. 9 years, serious contemplation of suicide, and a depression diagnosis later. I unfortunately understand. I've met that beast. Glad you're still alive. I can't promise it will be worth hanging in there, but I can promise that death is still worse. I used to hate the post office, thinking they were lazy because they were protected by a union. When the Rona hit last year, lost my job, started working for the post office. It's an incredibly stable job and I can assure you postal workers are very hard workers. Around here they seem to work 7 days a week and well past sunset. Definitely good hard-working people. Only in America can having a stable career in public service be ridiculed. My grandpa died due to complications of smoking. Before I had always said I hate smoking, SND I still do. But I've been stressed due to a lot of things happening at the same time in my life and I have picked up smoking. I've smoked for 25 years and my advice is quit while you can and do something healthier to deal with stress, like drinking alone while watching gamma shows. When I dropped out of high school I thought people who went to college were such losers, and I would never fall for the scam that is higher education. Took a few years of minimum wage jobs, and seeing where that mindset often led people to make me realize maybe I should reconsider. 3rd year pre-med student, still a loser though, so I was right about that I guess. I used to refuse to use emojis. I now love certain emojis. I used to laugh at veiny hypermuscular guys at the gym dropping weights, grunting unnecessarily loudly, carrying a whole sup bag to the gym for an hour workout, but now, 5 years later, it's me. Back when I identified as bi, I was always annoyed that media portrayed being bisexual as a stepping stone to being gay, and that nobody was permanently bi. Still a bad stereotype, but guess what? It is a bad stereotype, but also congrats on finding yourself. I used to struggle with racism and misogynist tendencies, be an alcoholic and all around terrible person. Now I have a stable home life, no drugs or drink. I'm going to be married to a wonderful African woman. I have a dog and I don't go out on the weekend much, even pre-COVID. All in all, I'm happy to have become the thing I swore to destroy. My favorite character arc so far. When I missed my daughter's 4th birthday to attend a week-long work conference. The next year my daughter asked if I was going to miss her birthday again. Incredibly, the conference was happening on the same week. Instead, I quit the position, reduced work travel, and swore to never miss a family event again. All work colleagues questioned what I was doing. 10 years later, I can say with absolutely certainty that I made the right choice. When I got a mortgage. The gun lobby also says people need to be able to protect their property. Rock said, but every mass shooting is done by guys who live with their mother. So I believe you should need to have a mortgage to buy a gun. A mortgage is a real background check. Even if you go to jail for 30 years, you've still got to pay your freaking mortgage. Chris Rock. I used to try to be unique when I was young. Dress diff, talk diff, like edgy things, etc. I always thought adults were so boring, and why would anyone ever wanna go for a walk outside for no reason? Now, I enjoy peace, getting groceries, walk, and sitting around LMAO. I choose to conform. I was a Mormon missionary who tried to convince people who left the church to come back. I haven't been to church in over a year and my coffee and liquor collections are coming along nicely. Back in my late teens, early 20s, I was fully anti-establishment, listening, playing in a punk band, anti-consumerism, wearing shirts with a hammer and sickle. Now I have an impressive investment portfolio. If you can't beat M, join M. I hated hippies when I was young. Long story, but it was my upbringing. Ended up joining the US Peace Corps and discussing this with a friend while we were 2 months into our service. At the time we were smoking weed. I was wearing a Hard Rock Nashville shirt with a peace sign on it and listening to some Dave Matthews. He was laughing so hard. That's when I realized I am who I am. I was being hypocritical for years. I'm a citizen of the world. I'm in a fairly hilarious position where freaking hippies is my general stance, but our political social objectives are largely aligned. I used to think metal was bad and I would never listen to metal. Now I listen to death metal, pirate metal, technical death metal, and more metal. When you look at the album covers for Iron Maiden, it's all about a time-traveling zombie man and satanic murderbats in space. But when you listen to the music, it's just a bunch of nerds having fun singing about Dune, World War II, and time-traveling satanic zombie butts. You can't always judge a book by its satanic imagery. Hail Santa. Me as a child. Why would I smoke weed? It just makes you stupid for a bit. And I'm a stoner. Also becoming a teacher after despising high school. Someone's gotta be the chill history teacher that never gives homework. Why not me? Dang, same here, but for math, lol. I used to think people were up on their high horses when they would passionately talk about or protest for social institutional reform issues. I'd wonder why they didn't just leave it alone and get on with their lives. After learning more about those same issues and realizing how messed up they are, I'm now one of those people. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.